Hey, it's Greg here with Outdoors on the Cheap. I recently had a viewer ask me how I use a compass. I mentioned in a video that I don't use a GPS. I don't use a smartphone in the woods, mainly because I don't consider them reliable for where I am. I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. I go to remote places, and it's oftentimes you just can't get a signal. And I don't have data, and I carry a flip phone. So, Outdoors on the Cheap, I'm cheap. I don't have a data plan, I carry a flip phone. And so I don't have any of those options, and I don't need them for what I do, and I don't consider them necessary for safely being able to safely go in the woods and out of the woods for a day or afternoon or multiple days or whatever. I mean, compass is how people found their way around for a long time. Right? GPS and smartphones and all that sort of stuff, that's pretty new stuff. You know, for most of relatively modern times, people get by with a compass just fine because they work, and understanding how to use them is important. And there's lots of videos online on how to use a compass, so I really don't have a lot to add other than to show how I use a compass. You know, if you go to scouts or the military or something like that, there's a few things you need to understand to use a compass really well. Angle of inclination, angle of declination. When I'm in the woods, I don't account for any of that. I have a very simple way I use the compass. And I use my compass for getting from one point of reference to another. That's about it. So right now I'm on a logging road, right? You can see it goes that way and it goes that way. And it's fairly straight for about 1 kilometer, right? And even then, when it's not straight, it just veers off slightly. So, I mean, which way is it going right now? If I look at the compass, I've got a compass right here that I keep attached to my vest. I got another one in my pants, right? So I always have 2 compasses. Anyway, according to this, the road goes roughly, I would call that northeast to southwest. Not exactly. If I were to use an exact bearing, I would say it goes 20 degrees to 200 degrees. So you look at your compass, you've got the needle, the red part, at least for mine anyway, always points north, right? So if I line the red part up with N, right? Okay. I don't know how well that comes across on camera, if you can even see it. But right now the needle's lined up with N, but looking at the road, the road doesn't run exactly north-south. It runs basically from 20 degrees to 200 degrees. Okay. So I know that if I go in the woods here, right, the woods, there's the road, there's the woods. I know if I go in the woods perpendicular to that all I got to do is come out the opposite direction I went in, and I'll find the road. I won't come, I mean, precision use of a compass gives you precision. But, I mean, all I want to do is when I come back out of the woods, I want to be able to find this road, right? So I know if I go in with a bearing that's roughly perpendicular to the road, and I come back out opposite to that bearing, then I'll come out somewhere along. I'm not going to come out this exact spot where my mitten is here. Right, I might come out over there, 100 yards, 100 meters, or over there. But if I take it, because I'm not going to be able to go straight, right? So what is a perpendicular route to that? So let's look at the compass here. Roughly perpendicular, when it's all lined up, is a bearing of about I'd say 100. Yeah, about 100. Okay, so I just I'm freehanding the camera here, so I need to use my hands for a second. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so now what I've done is that I've lined this arrow, the front of my compass, up with 100 degrees. I don't know if you can read that. It says 100 right there. So I've got the compass set up to point in the direction I should be going when I go in those woods. So what I'm doing when I'm going into the woods is I'm going to try to hold to about 100 degrees as northeast, right? I'm going to go northeast and try to stick. I'm going to have to go around things. I'm going to have to do detours because there's fallen trees and all kinds of stuff like that. This is wild Canadian forest. There's nothing in there. Other than lots of trees that are in the way, right? But I hold roughly 200 degrees. So I know that if I'm going in at 100 degrees northeast, that if I come out at around, I don't know, I'd say the opposite of that is about 280. Okay. I mean, all we have to do is you have to add 180. We add 180 to it to get right, to get to the other half. 180 degrees is 180 degree turn, right? The circle is 360 degrees. 180 degrees is half of the circle. So if I add 180 to 100, you can just eyeball it though. You can just see that 280 is opposite from the 100, right? But if you want to be precise, just add 180 to be mathematical. All I got to do is turn this thing around. When I'm done going in and I want to come out, I just turn this pointy thing around so that it's lined up with 280. And then I just go the way it's telling me to go. And of course, you gotta make sure that you haven't got anything metal nearby. You don't want to, I've got a gun right here. You don't want to have it too close to the gun. But as long as it's not right next to it, it should be, as long as you're about a foot away from your gun, a foot away from your knife, it should be all right. If you want to double check, you hold it out as far as you can, just to make sure that it's telling you to go the right way, right? But I found usually about a foot away is fine. I just hold it out where I can see it, right up here, right? I've got it attached so I can hold it right here and I can't lose it. I usually keep it in the pocket just so it doesn't swing around and grab stuff, right? But I have it at this length so I can hold it out and look at it. All right, if I don't have this hunting vest, I have it around my neck. Okay? But by using that system, when I turn it around and follow, because you might not be able to go out the same way you came in. You might get turned around, you might lose your path. You might find once you get in there that it's just easier going to come out a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right of where you went in. That always happens. But as long as you're following the compass, following that main bearing, the opposite of the way you went in, you'll come out somewhere. And if you're parked on the side of the highway and the highway's kind of unidirectional, right? You'll come out somewhere near where you parked your car. You might be down the road, you might be up the road, that sort of thing, right? And you use the same thing for any other natural landmark, a river, a lake, a kind of distinct landmark like a power line or a tree or anything like that, right? That's how I do it. I leapfrog from point of reference to point of reference. Or usually it's just I'm parked on the side of the road and I'm going in. And I'm going in until I don't want to go in anymore and then I come out. And if I'm going in for multiple days, it's because I'm going somewhere. I have a direction I want to go. I want to find some river, I want to find some lake. So I take a bearing from the road and I follow that will lead me to that lake. Not to the upper corner, not to the corner, to the middle of the lake, right? That way, if I'm a little bit right or a little bit left, I'll still hit it. Again, this is not the most pure way to use a compass. There's more sophisticated ways to use a compass. But if you're going a few kilometers, you're going to be, it's accurate enough, you're going to get where you want to go and it should work. Anyway, that's how I use a compass for getting from point to point, going, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 kilometers, that sort of thing. Certainly, if you want to navigate across the ocean, you need to use the compass in a more sophisticated way. But for just walking a few kilometers to go from one point of reference to another, just taking a bearing and following that bearing until you get there, or until you're tired of going in one direction, that's fine. Just find the opposite bearing to find your way out. That's how I use a compass to get around. Even if you're going in the woods with a smartphone or a GPS system, it's worthwhile when you go in to do exactly what I just did with the compass. Point the arrow thing relative to north in the direction you're walking. That way, if all your gear fails, you can just turn it around. You're going to find your way back out. So anyway, it's starting to rain here, rain and snow. So I think it's time to go. I don't think the hunting's going to be very good this afternoon. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, enjoy the outdoors on the cheap. Thanks for watching.